Could Chris Paul solidify his ranking as a legend in San Antonio? In many ways, Chris Paul's had a tough career to assess. CP3 is one of the greatest point guards to ever do it, but how highly does he actually rank? Stats-wise, he ranks among the best. This season, as long as he remains healthy, he's expected to pass Jason Kidd in both all-time steals and assists. After that, he'll rank second to only John Stockton in both categories. He's also the only player aside from LeBron James to accumulate over 20,000 points and 10,000 assists in his career. But it's not just CP's counting stats. The point guard also ranks amongst the all-time greats in some of the most recognized analytic stats, such as box plus minus, value over replacement player, and win shares. Clearly, saying that Chris Paul's a baller would be a drastic understatement. For a 6'1" guard, he's basically been a statistical cheat code in the NBA for close to 20 years now, and his play has been extremely conducive to winning throughout his entire career. Well, in the regular season at least. Since his sophomore season way back with New Orleans in 2007, Chris Paul's never been on a losing basketball team. And he's literally made every team he's played for better along the way. Before drafting Chris Paul, New Orleans won 18 games in 2005. In Chris Paul's rookie season, the team won 38 games, a massive improvement, and by his third season in the league in 2008, the Hornets won a staggering 56 games, earning them the second seed in the loaded Western Conference. And that's just how he impacted every team he played for. Before he got traded to the Clippers, the team won 32 games, but in his first season there, he led them to the playoffs as a 5 seed and helped them build their most consistent team in franchise history during his time there. Then he got traded to Houston, who'd won 55 games in the previous season, but Paul helped them improve considerably to become a 65-win team, the best in the whole league during the regular season. After that, he got shipped to Oklahoma City, a team that was expected to falter after trading away Paul George and Russell Westbrook. But instead, Chris Paul led them to the playoffs with a better winning percentage than they had the previous year. So the Suns traded for him following a season in which they won 34 of 73 games. And guess what? Paul led them to win 51 games during a 72-game season, and the team went to the finals. Even when he got traded to Golden State, believe it or not, the Warriors won 2 more regular season games than they had the previous season. Chris Paul's constant positive impact in the NBA is undeniable. By bringing consistency to the point guard position, Paul has accumulated a regular season winning percentage of 64.2%. That ranks him higher than league legends who played during the same era as him, including Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, Dwayne Wade, and Steve Nash. So let's go back to our initial question and discuss why Chris Paul's career is tough to assess and look at where he actually ranks all time. Well, the largest void on Chris Paul's resume is hardware. His stats are killer, basically across the board. But he never won an MVP award and has never won an NBA title either. Though he's still won more playoff games than he's lost in total, he's earned a bit of a reputation as a choke artist after becoming the first player in league history to blow 5 2-0 series leads in his career. Meanwhile, almost all Chris Paul's peers who he's outpaced statistically have a trophy case more decorated than Chris Paul's. Steve Nash, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Allen Iverson all won at least one MVP in their career, while Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas, Jason Kidd, Gary Payton, and Kyrie Irving all have rings. Even players like Chauncey Billups, Tony Parker, and Sam Cassell, whose career stats fall well short of Chris Paul's, won titles and earned the reputation as winners, while CP still hasn't. When ESPN ranked the top 75 players of all time, they clearly didn't take Chris Paul's lack of hardware too deeply into account, as they ranked him the 29th greatest player of all time, above stars like Westbrook, Iverson, Harden, Kidd, Nash, and Payton. But we can't help but feel that as long as Chris Paul remains without a title, his legacy will be blemished in the eyes of most NBA fans. The good news, however, is that Chris Paul isn't done and is actually teaming up with probably the best player he's ever been paired with. Unfortunately, during Paul's prime, he was partnered with guys like David West and Blake Griffin, not really champion caliber number 2 options. After that, he had the opportunity to play with Harden while he was still pretty close to his prime. With Houston, the team very likely could have won the championship had Chris Paul not gotten injured in Game 6 of the conference finals while his team was up 3-2 in the series. He also came close to playing Booker, but once again, he was forced to play through injuries when he was in the finals. The truth is, neither of those guys pose the best pair for Paul. Now we'll get the chance to play with Victor Wembanyama, a man who, barring injuries, is almost certain to become one of the most forceful weapons the league has ever seen. Can Wemby rise to stardom and lead the Spurs to a championship before the clock strikes midnight on Chris Paul's career? It's definitely possible, because CP still has some left in the tank according to his stats last season. Remember, Jason Kidd didn't win his only championship until he was 37 years old with the Mavericks. At this point, Chris Paul is still capable of playing as a game manager, similar to how Kidd did for the 2011 Mavs. And Gary Payton didn't win a chip until he was in a bench role playing for the Miami Heat in 2006. It's very possible that Paul could still win a title and catapult his name up the all-time rankings amongst league legends. There's uncertainty surrounding the Spurs roster outside of Paul and Wemby, but the talent they have right now is compelling. Jeremy Sohan looks like a young but unique weapon on the wing, and Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson are developing into solid young players as well now. This season, Vassell will be playing at age 24, and Johnson will be 25 years old in October. The Spurs also brought Harrison Barnes in, a veteran forward that does a lot of small things on the court that makes his team better. He can shoot, defend, and doesn't turn the ball over very much either. It'll be interesting to see how good the Spurs can be this season, and our bet is that they compete for a playoff spot. Management knows what they're doing, too. Unlike other teams that seem to be in a never-ending rebuild, the Spurs are loading up on assets that'll expedite the process. For example, instead of drafting at 8th overall, they traded the pick to Minnesota for future draft capital. That's because the Spurs know that if they have too many lottery picks demanding minutes in their rotation, they're unlikely to win in the near future. Instead, they'll bring in vets like CP and Barnes and prioritize developing the talent that they already have in their system. When they need to, they'll likely mortgage their future draft capital as well as excess pieces that are performers in the lineup for players that they believe will take them over the top. Definitely not a team to sleep on. But we want to know what you guys think. Where does Chris Paul rank among all-time NBA point guards? What would a ring do for his legacy? And also, how good will the Spurs be while they still have Chris Paul in their lineup? Let us know what you think in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more sports news and insights. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.